Last week we talked about the whole Marvel Rivals storyline until Season 1's launch, and you guys apparently loved that video. So here is Professor Lore again going through the entire story of Season 1 and everything that's happened in this season. We will first have to go through 3 new issues of comics released for the game, then explaining the core story of the game like these 2 new maps that have been released and an entire civil war that's happening among the Avengers and the Marvel heroes. Then the new in-game comic you can unlock and read or the story of this event tab, and finally finding some secret in-game lore like new character interactions that reveal lots of important things. So tell Jarvis to bring in the popcorn, as Professor Lore once again will force you to feed and eat and just for every single lore there is in Marvel Rivals. You gotta get all of it. Let's first go through all the 3 new issues of the comics since the last video I made. We left off in issue 2 by Jeff being smacked and beaten by Hulk, that after uniting with Namor to together rule over the entire world. Now Spider-Man's team seems to be in a mess, especially with Jeff being far away, as he jumps in Doctor Strange portal all alone chasing Penny Parker. Wolverine here was about to get him, but blinded Hulk smacks his own teammate, accidentally ruining the win. But right away Venom jumps in to chase instead, wrapping his tongue all over Spider-Man, tightening it. Hey, wait a second. Which dev's fetish was this one? What am I looking at? This makes Penny Parker shoot her own teammate because she doesn't want Spider-Man to be eaten. Then after this, Doctor Strange and Venom just chill together like they're bros taking a rest, as Penny herself comes in, destroying the poor Spidey. But apparently that was just a plan to distance themselves from the others so they can have a normal chat together, because she thinks that Spider-Man is an alternate version of her own dad. Penny here now reveals her true plans, which is her trying to bring Spidey onto her own side, so they can together help the Spider-Zero with her plans. And if you don't know about the plan, I've explained everything from the last season in this video. But for now that doesn't happen and they gotta get back into fighting again. Yet right when doing so, she calls the Spider-Man Richard Parker, and that basically confirms that Peter Parker is for sure not an alternate version of her dad. So they were both thinking wrong and Penny Parker doesn't know it. So from here Spider-Man focuses on telling Penny Parker that he's not her dad. Four gets worried how they're not enough to fight against the other team, so Galacta herself chooses to replace him with someone else, and she goes for exactly the character that got really popular for very sus reasons. So she begins throwing her nuts at everyone to help the Spider-Man, and that's where the issue 3 of the comics end. The issue 4 really starts on Master Weaver and Spider-Zero being together, as the Master brings up how they're not collecting Chrono Cells fast enough, since again he needs that thing's energy to fix up the Web of Life and Destiny. And if you remember, that is exactly why Spider-Zero came up with another plan instead that included the machine thing and the cyberspace. So she mocks Master Weaver here, saying that everything is gonna be fine once Penny Parker finally connects the Web of Life and Destiny to the cyberspace. Then they can finally fix things up without the need of the Chrono Cells. But the Master Weaver calls her short-sighted for this, because they need the Chrono Cells to maintain rule and control over the entire Web of Life and Destiny. Then he says how these things are just nowhere to be found, so something horrible is happening, almost like someone is stealing them from the Master Weaver. That man being Namor, who needs the Chrono Cells for his plan to take over the world. Now here we see Namor and Sharky Boy teaming up to beat the Iron Fist. Give this man a taste of his own medicine, smack him, beat him up, kill him! As then it gets revealed how they're already coming up with full plans on how they're gonna take over the whole world. So Jeff returns onto his own original team, but for now he's some kind of a double agent. Galacta now takes us back onto checking up on Spidey, and the poor guy is just being stepped on by Hulk. Now we got the Squirrel and the Spider-Man team up happening here too, which is basically them combining their web and explosive nuts into something much stronger. As it works, they finally get to beat Hulk with it. But not just him, they go nuts just sticking everyone in webs with the team power. Now Galacta reveals how Jeff is bringing the Spidey team onto the very place you link the Web of Life and Destiny onto the cyberspace. Then how Spider-Man finally gets to reach back onto his team as well, with the replaced 4, which is Squirrel. This is where the issue 4 of the comics end. Until now the 5th issue, where right away it's revealed how the Web of Life and Destiny is growing even more chaotic, so everybody needs to act fast. And Galacta herself is also very concerned, doing her best to make sure that things don't go too bad, while also at the same time being worried of Jeff's plan to take over the world. But she also reveals how she's just here to enjoy people fighting, smacking each other, and just saving the world. That's a second concern. Who cares about that? Honestly, Jarvis! She's kinda cool. I like her. What is my chance of marriage with Galacta?
I'm sorry, sir. 0%.
Jarvis, delete yourself. Penny Parker's team manages to break out of the web and reach onto Spider-Man, as Doctor Strange is annoyed, going all out summoning the Millstorm of Madness, which is yet another team-up from the game itself. The team-up power works really well as it messes up everyone, but then we got Jeff coming in to take revenge on Hulk for how badly he smacked the poor guy in the last time, which leads into again another team-up from the game being shown off here. That is a mix-up of Jeff Water Speed and Luna's Snow Power. Doctor Strange, seeing this, just decides to dip out running away. Maybe he got PTSD from like the Spider-Man? I don't know. Yet another team-up is shown off here, which is the one between Iron Fist and Luna Snow, allowing them to heal all of their team members up. Spider-Man also asks for healing, but he just gets the speed type of healing instead from the Sharky. Now back onto Penny Parker's team. They're trying to think of ways to catch on to Spider-Man again. This is where once again another team-up is shown off, that being Hulk throwing people around like they're tennis balls. He first tries to throw Venom, but he starts panicking right away, not liking this at all. So Wolverine volunteers instead and Hulk throws him just like he does in the game. This was also done to break the huge ice wall that Jeff and Luna Snow together created. But here is where we finally get to learn more of Jeff and Namor's secret plan, as he has been chasing them into the shadows all this time. It's revealed how they want to together take over the world by making sure that the web of life and destiny does get disconnected from the world they're in right now, so they completely get separated from every other universe. And through that, whoever has the most amount of chrono cells becomes the ruler of the world. So all this time, the Master Weaver's worry was not for nothing. Namor indeed is the one stealing the chrono cells. The issue 5 of the comics ends with Namor and Jeff reaching onto a device that near it they say, once we destroy the web of life and destiny, the world will be ours, and he promises to Jeff that all the sardines will be for him to eat. So like, maybe Jeff doesn't even care about like being the ruler of the world. Maybe he just wants it because he's hungry, and that just means like infinite amount of food. He gets to eat anything he wants. So technically you could say that Jeff and Namor are the villains in the story of the Tokyo 2099 maps. So Master Weaver nor Spider-Zero are really the villains here. And depending on how the next issues of the comics go, we will find out whether they manage to destroy the web of life and destiny or not. For now, there is no more issues for us to go through. So let's talk about the story we got in these two new maps instead. The story in season 1 of this game is actually really cool. Something that I forgot to mention in the last video is how Doctor Doom is technically behind everything that happens right now. He's basically playing chess and manipulating everything that happens in this game. For example, he wanted Loki to take over Asgard, or the Hydra thing to happen with the new version of the Super Soldiers. He was part of why Boss, the god of Wakanda people, got corrupted by Null, or why that guy might even get freed soon. And yet again, Doom is behind everything that happens in season 1 as well. Doctor Doom comes to speak with the Vampire King Dracula, as he offers to give this guy some of his chrono cell powers. So with that, Dracula can bring an eternal night onto the world and grow his power to take over everything, especially since most of his monsters can only fight in the nighttime. But the only request from Doom is that he does it in New York City. Dracula at first doesn't want to accept this offering because he knows what a mastermind Doom is, but Doctor Doom still manages to convince him, saying that it's just an offering, don't worry about it, everything is gonna be fine, and that he might be hiding something, but for sure his plans are not meant to harm Dracula at all, so he has nothing to worry about. Because of this, he accepts to take the chrono cell. Then using that mixed with his own blood, Dracula forces an eternal night and a blood moon on New York. Then after that, releasing his monsters to kill the humans and cause lots of destruction. But why would Doctor Doom even give him one of the chrono cells? We have been told that he has some secret plans, so what exactly are those? Well, we don't really know the entirety of his plans, but it's getting revealed more and more every season. Yet for now, he chose to give Dracula some of his chrono cells and told him to start his ruling within New York City, because that is exactly where both the Baxter Building, home of the Fantastic Four, and the Avengers Tower is found at. So the master plan of Doom here was to basically create other powerful, dangerous villains around him, so the heroes like the Avengers or the Fantastic Four get too busy fighting those other villains and focus much less on going against Doctor Doom himself, allowing Doom to keep working on his master plan in peace away from fights. This guy is genuinely so smart. I love what they're doing with him, like that brain. it gotta be massive. Oh god. The plan of Doom works perfectly, as things are so horrible to the point that the Fantastic Four are stuck within their tower, while Reed Richards tries his best to fix up his portal machine, so he can travel onto other timelines and bring heroes from them into this place. So with their help, maybe they can finally stop Dracula himself. But while that's happening, Khonshu, the god of the moon and the one who gives Moon Knight his powers, this god is thinking of a spell named Montesi Formula found within the Book of Darkhold, the very thing you probably have seen in the Doctor Strange movies. This spell basically is supposed to kill every single monster that exists on use, which is exactly the reason why Khonshu wants to use it, so he can put an end into this chaos as fast as possible and kill Dracula as well. But the issue with the spell is that not all of the monsters are evil, and some of them used to be humans. And this very thing is exactly why soon a civil war begins in the story of Marvel Rivals. At the moment, the Darkhold is in the hands of Doctor Strange, but Khonshu is not exactly sure how to reach into him because Strange, as said in this video, has been stuck within the mirror dimension for a very long time now, and the one you have been playing as is only like a projection of him, like a clone or so. But Doctor Strange here has been doing his best to reach out onto other powerful Sorcerer Supremes or magic users who can possibly break him out of the mirror dimension, as finally Wanda manages to sense this connection with Doctor Strange, allowing her to free this guy from the mirror dimension. But Khonshu was prepared for this, so right on release he goes and kind of steals Doctor Strange. Poor guy just got out of one mess and now he's already stuck in another one. Let my man rest. What did he do to you? Now something really interesting gets revealed during this story. It is said how a while ago Doctor Doom himself came to Strange asking for the very Darkhold that Khonshu wants. Strange gets scared of this and he doesn't trust Doom and knows how powerful that guy is, so he chose to hide the Darkhold in a rift between every reality. It's said by the cute ghost dog of Strange. Look at him, he's a ghost dog. That's so cute! That this event of hiding the Darkhold plays a big part in how Strange got himself stuck within the mirror dimension. But now thanks to the Scarlet Witch, both him and the Darkhold have been brought out of hiding. So here is a really cool theory I'm gonna cook up. I believe that yeah, Doom gave these powers to Dracula for distracting the Avengers and so on. But also we were just told that he's chasing and wants his hands on the Darkhold. So maybe this whole plan of giving powers to Dracula was Doom's plan to force people onto seeking the Darkhold as well, for using the Montesi formula that will kill all of the monsters. Something that finally would allow Doctor Doom to get what he wants. So there you go, I think now we know every single reason why Doctor Doom gave one of those shiny balls to Dracula. But for the moment it's revealed how Khonshu right away manages to take both the Darkhold for himself and put Doctor Strange in captivity to force that guy onto casting the Montesi formula. But Doctor Strange instead offers Khonshu to play a board game with him called Senet. The aim of this game is to get from one end of the board to the other, and it's an Egyptian game, which makes sense because Khonshu is the Egyptian god of moon. It's also said how this guy ain't really good at the game, so that's also an advantage for Doctor Strange. The offering here was that if Doctor Strange wins, him and the Darkhold would be freed from Khonshu. But if he doesn't, his life would be owned by the God of Moon forever, which also would mean that he would cast a spell that kills all of the monsters too. But the funny thing is that apparently Strange has played these games before with Doctor Doom, who was a master at it and beat Strange many times in the games. So Doctor Strange steals some of the smart tactics that Doom used on him, allowing an easy victory against Khonshu. And I'm telling you, with how much of like a massive giga brain Doctor Doom is, he probably saw this happening from like miles away.
What, you're too good to talk to me? How does that bad guys that—
Miss Van Dyne, and your pathetic attempts to play mind games with me amount to exactly less than nothing.
My boy definitely knew that in the future Strange and Khonshu are gonna play together, so he did all of the tricks and everything to teach Strange, you play like this. When you go with Khonshu, smack him. Beat him. Tell Agamotto to clip that and post it on every single social media. But this means that Doctor Strange is now freed from both the mirror dimension and Khonshu's captivity. The same thing goes for the Darkhold as well. So he first checks upon Sanctum Sanctorum that protects this world from fully falling in the hands of dark and evil beings, while that area is protected by Khonshu to make sure that no one can come into it and cause damage, because his agency is also located at the same place. So that's exactly why nothing in this place is really destroyed, everything is fine, but when you look outside, Oh my god, what is going on? And the rocks and the destroyed buildings and everything are floating because of what Dracula did is causing the gravity of Earth to not work well. But inside of Sanctum Sanctorum, you can see how a big chunk of this place has been broken and collided with the mirror dimension, making an extremely beautiful scenery in the game. Like, whoa, wait a second. Can we talk about the graphics of this game? Like, look at this. Oh my god, it's gorgeous. There is also many dope Easter eggs inside of this place. Lots of collected magical objects put into display just like in the movies. We first got the Book of Vishanti, which is somewhat an opposite of the Darkhold, with lots of protective defense type of spells within it. This one is a very powerful sword used by Doctor Strange himself in the comics. Then we got the Ebony Blade, created out of a magical meteorite, and in the comics is mostly used by Black Knight, so maybe we're gonna get him as a character in the game? That would be kinda cool. This one is the blue cloak of Doctor Strange that has been used in the comics for when magic kinda just died, so he needed this cloak to have some powers. The staff you see here is the same one used by Doctor Strange in the last season, which both of them are from the comics when Doctor Strange became the god of magic. Here we have two scrolls of Vatum that are precious sources of magical knowledge written by Vatum himself. Now we got my personal favorite, probably like the best thing you have ever seen in your entire life. The most important, like the one in here that you're gonna ever see. Are you ready? The untextured floating spinny rock. Wow! There is also a floating eye kind of held by hands, which could be Agamotto's other eye. Here we have the Axe of Angermas. That is a very ancient and very powerful weapon found by Doctor Strange in the center of the moon. After that we got some purple gems that allow access to a purple dimension ruled over by Agamon. This right here is the Orb of Agamotto, which shows off planet Earth because of all the protection spells that Agamotto himself has created all around Earth to make sure that beings like Dormammu cannot attack or invade this planet. And even better than that, we got the best artifact of all time here, Wong. Then this other painting, which I'm not exactly sure who this person is, or how the only food served here is krakens and squids. The reasoning behind this is that Doctor Strange's body has been altered so much by magic, to the point that he can only consume magical beings as food. Thanks to this legend, absolute goat, for helping me figure out what all of these artifacts are. That was all of the artifacts and the cool things you can find within this place. But let's talk about the start of an entire civil war in the story now. One which began by first of all both Moon Knight and Doctor Strange going to Mr. Fantastic, so they all can come up with a plan to stop Dracula and his monsters. But Strange doesn't have the book with him because when he won against Hancho, the bird got so angry he did a Hanfu kick into Doctor Strange's face, throwing him out of like the astral plane, which was the place that he locked up Doctor Strange in. This caused Doctor Strange to lose the Darkhold, and many of his pages got scattered in the open streets of New York, making the monsters tear them apart in hopes that the spells can't be used to destroy them, while Mr. Fantastic brings in people like Iron Man to their meeting as well, so they all can figure something out together. This is exactly where the civil war starts from, because Moon Knight brings up Hanchu's plan of using the spell which will kill every single monster right away, but Mr. Fantastic disagrees with this because he doesn't believe in magic. Then he doesn't want the poor humans that were turned into monsters to die with this as well. This causes two teams to be made. Team A, made by the people who want to end this chaos as fast as possible so they can save more humans. Also go with Hanchu's idea, which contains Moon Knight, Iron Man, Dagger and so on. While Team B are the ones who are planning to figure out a less destructive way to fight against the monsters with, even if it's a less chaotic spell in the Darkhold. This one has all the Fantastic Four, Doctor Strange, Wanda and Cloak. Really, the Civil War even caused these two who were like us against the world, now us alone. This is the saddest thing ever. Now in-game, while you go through the Midtown map, you're basically going through this very Civil War experience. On one side you have Iron Man building an entire Sentinel armor used for safely carrying the team onto together finding the Darkhold. But then Dracula has grown so strong to the point that he just rips this thing apart. So now they gotta do their search on the ground instead. While on the other side, Reed updates his robot Herbie with a card that will help them take control of the Avengers Tower, which at the moment is under control of Dracula, with its logo turning into a V to represent Vlad Dracula. This tower is needed because through it Herbie can activate a scanner that would exactly find the locations where the Darkhold pages were ripped apart in. So Doctor Strange and Wanda can go to them, reforging the pieces back together and capturing all of the Darkhold before Moon Knight or Iron Man gets to it first. But for this to happen, the Fantastic Four flying car also needs to reach the Avengers Tower with Herbie. So that's exactly why you protect a thing in-game, as Moon Knight gets chosen to stop and destroy Herbie. And from in-game cinematics we see how we can do that by splitting the whole car into two. Basically, the whole civil war here is about who can manage to capture the Darkhold first. If Iron Man and the Moon Knight team does it, then they will use the spell to kill every single monster that exists right away, including the good ones. While if Doctor Strange and Mr. Fantastic get it first, they will either try to find a better way to fight against the monsters with, or another spell in this book that is like much less chaotic in killing all the monsters, if that kind of spell even exists. But in the end, we all know the truth. This entire thing is happening because 1. Dr. Doom wants all of these people to be distracted, and 2. because he will find a way to steal the Darkhold from both sides. Now the really cool thing is that in-game, when you progress forward with Fantastic Four team, the more you get to watch the Scarlet Witch use her chaos magic to fix up like all the destroyed places and the buildings up, which like this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. How did the devs of this game manage to figure out how to like code this into the game? Like look at this. How you do this?
I'm smarter. I'm better. I am better!
Now as we were talking about this, another really interesting thing happens too. While the two sides in the Civil War are fighting one another, the people who are not on the side of Mr. Fantastic a lot of times go out of hiding trying to kill as much monsters as possible, especially aiming to go after Dracula himself. The main guy behind all of this is of course Moon Knight, who chooses to create a team with many of these monster hunters, and they call themselves the Eternity Knights. You can see all the members of this team in this panel in the comics. We got Iron Man, Psylocke, Winter Soldier, Wolverine and Adam Warlock, plus Moon Knight as well, of course. Now the really cool part is how Iron Man plans to evolve all of the Eternity Knights and make them much stronger for fighting and killing monsters. For this, he chooses to build every single member here their own much stronger suits. One's focus to be the best at ripping apart the monsters. And the cool part here is how he uses the power of the Chronocells to manipulate time itself and build these suits out of ancient materials brought here from the past that are like the best at killing monsters. He after fuses the Chronocell with all of these suits and evolved them with his technology, creating these like super cool looking knighted armors for himself, for Wolverine, for Adam Warlock, for every single one of them. Moon Knight himself also ends up with a small update, going from like a white suit to a black suit instead.
I'm man.
Because if you remember, Iron Man did tell Moon Knight that he should build himself a black suit to be more stealthy, and then Moon Knight was like,
No.
so I guess Iron Man just took advantage of this moment that he's building new suits and he was like, yo, come here right now. You don't want a black suit? I do not care. I don't give a shit. Wear this right now.
You know, you should invest in a way to hide in the dark. Like maybe black clothes.
The moon is white, Stark. It shines in the night. So do I.
But two of the armors that Iron Man has made aren't in the game yet. But now Moon Knight brings up how the Eternity Knights are not the only ones who are hunting down Dracula. He has seen a bunch of other people and groups fighting as well. We actually know one of those groups who went right after Dracula himself. And they are Spider-Man, Squirrel, Dagger and Blade. But Dracula first of all kills an Asgardian Squirrel messenger who was helping out Squirrel. He came here with everyone because the horn you see there can kill anything, including Dracula himself. So probably the plan of this group was to make the giant squirrel stab Dracula with the horn to finally kill it. But as you see here, that went horribly. The poor thing is dead. But not just him, Dracula is nearly about to kill all the others too, including Spider-Man. Yet we can hear Spider-Man telling us a person that saved them all.
We thought you were a goner after the vampires caught us by the Queensboro Bridge.
Oh, me too. You'll never guess who showed up to save the day. Morbius.
So he's probably gonna become a playable character and things? Morbius. I'm willing to bet that the alt is gonna be...
It's Morbin time.
Something really interesting here is how Moon Knight tells us he saw a man in a fancy white armor who has an army of vampires and wants to take down Dracula and replace him as the Vampire King. It could be Blade, but he's not really wearing a white armor, so I don't think it's him. It could also be Morbius, since he does count as a vampire, but again, I've never seen him in like a white armor. If it's none of those two, then it's definitely the Black Panther we see here, since Moon Knight is right there, so seeing him, that's a check. And he does seem to have a purple and a white armor, so that's a check too. While Black Panther here seems like he himself has been turned into a monster, or how you can see from the event tab that he has removed his own heart. His heart is like in his hand. Bro thinks he's Davy Jones. So maybe he is one of the reasons why Doctor Strange doesn't want him to kill every single monster that exists, because even some of the heroes have been turned into monsters, as that guy is planning to attack Dracula himself and kill him. So he becomes the Vampire King instead and puts an end into this chaos. Probably the second half of this season is gonna be focused on this part of the story, so I can't wait for that. Now Marvel Rivals does a banger kind of storytelling that I've never seen anyone else do. There is a new event in this season that basically revolves around Daily Bugle and J. Jonah Jameson of this universe. New newspapers have been released by them with tons of information regarding the recent Eternal Night events. On one section of the newspaper you can see Mr. Fantastic talk regarding how the entirety of Earth itself is in danger right now. Dracula manipulating the moon's orbit so it stays still on top of the New York City. It's messing up the planet in many ways. Some of those are said to be, for example, messing up the magnetic field of the planet, the oceans and the tides or climate, while all of this causing every single communication system to collapse as well. Exactly why Daily Bugle has to spread the news from newspapers again. The second panel is focused on Doctor Strange with the title Doctor is out of his mind. This basically talks about how right when the blood moon happens, Doctor Strange just vanishes out of nowhere. So people are being very suspicious on him because of it. The third panel focuses on Moon Knight speaking of the base that he has right near Doctor Strange, and him being the main hunter at the moment going after the monsters to save the new never-ending night. But also how Daily Bugle thinks that he's doing some ancient rituals to make this like weird glowy blue walls happen. And we know that Khonshu made those to make sure that he protects everything within this area. Now here is my most favorite panel. We all know how much JJ is obsessed with like starting drama around Spidey or showing him off as a villain. Well, they do it in this game too, in this newspaper, calling the poor Spidey a coward, a villain, and a vampire. JJ here says how Spider-Man is nowhere to be seen because either he's a coward and he's just hiding, or calling him the most dangerous vigilante, and how it's likely that he joined forces with the monsters and is actively helping them out. I swear this guy is like the Twitter of Marvel Universe. He loves to put like drama and misinformation on every single person he sees. Let's now talk about some new character interactions in this season that reveal some really cool lore. We first of all got Punisher revealing how his weapons can lock on Sue Storm even when she's invisible.
You know my weapons can still lock onto you even when you're invisible.
I thought we were supposed to be on the same side, Frank.
Then we got a really funny one showing off how jealous Iron Man is on Reed Richards being smarter than him, especially since they're working on something together right now.
Reed is glad to have another genius around to help him solve this, Tony.
Same, he takes my brilliant ideas and makes them ever so slightly better.
I'll be sure to tell him exactly what you said.
Then we also got how Reed was supposed to plan out a date night with Sue Storm, but he forgot.
Please tell me this isn't the date night you've been planning for us, Reed.
No, but when you think about it, what could be more romantic than saving the universe side by side?
Literally anything.
Namor is revealed to be a simp for Sue Storm. I mean based, but he is actively trying to ruin the relationship between these two so he can have Sue for himself.
Why do you insist on staying with your fool of a husband when you could rule the world at my side?
Reed saves the world countless times each week, almost as often as you fail to conquer it.
Ooh, you wound me, Susan.
Namor only grossed me out.
If I was Namor, I would give up on every single one of my dreams right there. A really cool interaction is also with Adam Warlock, revealing how just like in the Guardians of the Galaxy, he was created to be used for others' goals, but he fought out of that control fast and chose to use his powers for doing good.
I am happy you're here, Susan. You have been a true friend since I first emerged from my cocoon.
You've certainly come a long way since the Enclave created you, Adam.
They meant to use me as a pawn in their own wicked schemes. But I had a much higher calling.
Now on Reed Richards' side, first off, he has a really important talk with Moon Knight.
We need to come up with a formula to reverse the vampiric effects on innocent civilians.
I've already got one in mind, the Montesi formula.
That's a far more permanent solution than I'm willing to consider.
On to another important interaction with Iron Man. This is regarding how they're already coming up with an idea for how they will go against Dr. Doom. This probably being the very reason why Dr. Doom wanted Dracula as a distraction here.
A time stream reintegration device may be our only hope to mend the damage the Dooms have caused.
Between the two of us, we should be able to have a working prototype in... how long now?
By my estimates, 5 to 10 years.
Then we finally have an answer to why Thanos is still not in this game yet.
Have you ever considered using those talents to save the universe instead?
I mean, sure, but then I remember that I beat Thanos with the help of a
battle starts in 5.
There is also some really beautiful talks about how Wakanda managed to evolve into a galactic empire.
An entire galactic empire of your own? I'm impressed, T'Challa.
You reached for the stars long before I did, my friend. I just led my people to a new home among them.
I knew Wakanda was technologically advanced, but what you built here is astounding.
Now Reed also invites T'Challa into rebuilding the Illuminati again with Iron Man.
T'Challa, Tony and I are working on something big, but we can't do it alone.
If you are inviting me to join another Illuminati, I fear I must decline.
I expected as much, which is why I was hoping to talk to Shuri.
I wonder how Wanda is gonna feel about this one. Another good interaction is between him and Doctor Strange, regarding how Reed has given up on using science against Dracula.
Science alone may not be enough to win us this battle, Stephen.
Are there any other means you consider worthy of exploration? Something beyond your many areas of expertise, perhaps.
You're really gonna make me say it out loud, aren't you?
You have no idea.
The battle starts in 5, 4.
We also hear of how the Celestial that Null killed was built out of the same material that Wolverine's bones are created from, or something similar to it.
If Null has the means to slay a Celestial, we don't stand much of a chance.
Speak for yourself, bub. My bones are pure adamantium.
And Celestial armor is forged from a cosmic equivalent of the same metal.
Now my favorite part, remember how Namor is like a sim for Sue Storm? These two are gonna talk to each other about that.
Richards, I do enjoy when these little conflicts bring us together.
It's a rare occasion when you and I see things the same way, Namor.
Except when it comes to Sue.
Speak my wife's name and you'll find our alliance will be over far sooner than you anticipated.
And if you already haven't checked out like the Season 0 story everything before right now, this video right here, this video goes through the entire story of this game. It's really helpful, you're gonna love it, go watch right now!